In a WIFR exclusive, tenants call it a victory for accountability. The city of Rockford reaches a settlement with the landlord of Versailles Apartments, accused by residents of putting them in harm's way. 3 years in court ends in a minute for tenants of Versailles Place Apartments, and WIFR's Nathaniel Langley dives into what this legal conclusion means for residents and the landlord.
Mike, Versailles Place's landlord admits his apartments don't meet safe and livable conditions. That's just one part in a settlement reached between Joe Fazio and Rockford. Connie Davis lives at Rockford's Versailles Place on weekdays.
And I take care of my mother.
Lily B. Davis, the wife of a former Harlem Globetrotter, moved into the apartments off East State Street 35 years ago.
It's really been very compromised.
On Thursday, tenants celebrated a settlement between the city of Rockford and Versailles' landlord, Illinois Fazio Property 3.
I'm really fighting for my mom's future as well as the rest of the residents there.
A court order forces repairs to sidewalks and concrete around apartments. The agreement also requires Fazio to fix broken elevators.
My mom is a amputee.
That's made life difficult for many seniors, including the mom and daughter, inside the 108-unit complex.
Every time we go out, we have to maneuver and negotiate 14 steps.
As part of the settlement, Versailles landlord Joe Fazio admitted to unsafe conditions inside his apartments.
And we really didn't have any hope. Now we have hope for accountability.
Tenant Beverly Patterson followed the case since it started in 2024.
So none of it was for spite against Versailles. These were just literal problems that needed to be solved.
I think it's a victory for the 14th Ward and for the city of Rockford.
The council member Mark Bonney worries Fazio's track record speaks for itself and could hurt his constituents inside Versailles.
I doubt that new violations aren't going to continue to surface.
We reached out to Fazio's attorney, William Chat, for comment, but have yet to hear back. The city of Rockford tells us it's pleased to have reached a resolution that holds the property owner accountable and sets clear expectations moving forward.
I think that's the first step towards, the healing process.
Connie hopes repairs mend the trust between tenant and landlord.
Let's get some work done. Let's get these tenants that are in, just an uproar. Let's get them settled.
There was no sign of Fazio or his attorney in the courtroom. Right after the hearing ended, the city attorney told tenants elevator repairs should start around July. All other repairs should be finished by October.
Thank you, and thank you for following this story, Nathaniel. And the $100,000 fine against Fazio isn't part of this court order. The city attorney mentioned to tenants that's part of other negotiations with the landlord.